Throughout history, some figures become legends, not only because of what they did, but because no one can fully explain who they really were. One of the most mysterious among them was a man known as the Count of Saint Germain, a diplomat, a scientist, a musician, an alchemist, and according to some rumors, an immortal man who never aged. But who exactly was he? And why did people across Europe believe he had lived for hundreds of years? To understand the legend of Saint Germain, we must travel back to 18th century Europe. A man who appeared out of nowhere there. First reliable records of the Count of Saint Germain appeared around the 1740s. He suddenly appeared in European high society, particularly in France, England, and Germany. What made people curious immediately was his extraordinary presence. Saint Germain spoke multiple languages fluently: French, German, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, Greek, and even some Arabic. Witnesses claimed he spoke them without any accent, but language skills were only the beginning. He was also known to be a brilliant musician, capable of playing the violin with remarkable talent. He painted, he composed music. He studied chemistry and early scientific ideas, and he seemed to possess immense knowledge about history. The strange part, he spoke about historical events as if he had personally witnessed them. The man who never ate another detail fascinated the aristocrats who met him. Despite attending lavish royal dinners, Saint Germain almost never ate in public. While others enjoyed large meals, he would simply drink water or take small bites. When asked why, he reportedly answered with mysterious phrases like, "I have learned to preserve my body." Naturally, rumors began spreading. Was he practicing some secret science, or something even stranger? His influence at the French court, Saint Germain eventually became a regular guest at the court of King Louis XV of France. The king himself seemed intrigued by the Count. Saint Germain reportedly advised the king on politics and diplomacy. Some sources even claim he worked as a secret diplomat, traveling across Europe to deliver confidential messages. But not everyone trusted him. Many nobles believed he was hiding something. His wealth seemed endless. He wore magnificent jewelry, often diamonds of unusual size, yet no one knew where his money came from. Whenever someone asked about his origins, he would simply smile and change the subject. The rumor of Immortality, the legend that made Saint Germain famous, came from a strange observation. People who met him years apart noticed something unusual. He did not seem to age. Some aristocrats claimed they had seen him decades earlier, and he looked exactly the same. One story comes from a French noblewoman who insisted she had met Saint Germain 50 years before. When she confronted him about it, he calmly replied, "That is not impossible." Whether he was joking or serious remains unclear, but stories like this spread quickly through European society. Soon whispers began circulating that Saint Germain possessed the secret of immortality. The alchemist theory. During the 18th century, many scholars were fascinated by alchemy. Alchemy was the ancient practice that sought to transform metals into gold and discover the elixir of life. Saint Germain was known to conduct chemical experiments. He often spoke about transforming materials and purifying substances. Some believed he had discovered the legendary philosopher's stone. According to alchemical legends, this stone could grant eternal life and unlimited wealth. Of course, there is no evidence that such a thing exists. But Saint Germain's mysterious knowledge made people wonder. A traveler across Europe throughout his life, Saint Germain appeared in many places: France, England, Prussia, Russia, Austria. Everywhere he went, he managed to gain access to powerful individuals: kings, princes, diplomats, scientists. He seemed comfortable among the most influential people in Europe, yet his past remained completely unknown. Some claimed he was the son of a European prince. Others believed he came from a wealthy Portuguese Jewish family. There were even rumors that he was an Indian mystic who had traveled west, but none of these stories were ever confirmed. His alleged death eventually. The official historical record states that the Count of Saint Germain died in 1784 in Germany. At least, that is what the documents say. But here is where the story becomes even stranger. After his supposed death, people continued claiming they had seen him alive. Reports appeared in the late 18th century. Then again in the 19th century, and even in the early 20th century, some individuals claimed Saint Germain had visited them. These sightings helped transform him from a historical figure into a legendary mystery. The occult in modern mythene, the late 1800s and early 1900s, several spiritual and occult movements began promoting the idea that Saint Germain was not just a man. According to these beliefs, he was an ascended master, a spiritual being who had transcended normal human limitations. In these teachings, Saint Germain was said to guide humanity toward enlightenment. Whether one believes these stories or not, they played a major role in shaping the modern myth around his name. The historical reality. So, who was Saint Germain really? Historians today generally agree on a few facts. He was likely a highly educated European aristocrat, possibly someone with connections to powerful political circles. His mysterious behavior may have been partly intentional. In a time when reputation meant everything, mystery itself could be a powerful tool. By saying little about his past, he allowed rumors to grow, and rumors turned him into something larger than life. Legend or clever illusion. The truth is, we may never know exactly who the Count of Saint Germain was. A brilliant diplomat, a skilled con artist, a misunderstood scientist, or simply a man who understood the power of mystery. What we do know is this: more than 2 centuries later, his name still appears in books, documentaries, and historical debates. Few historical figures managed to blur the line between history and legend quite like he did, and perhaps that was his greatest achievement. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones that leave questions unanswered. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-dive back into the enigmatic life of one of history's most mysterious figures, the Count of Saint Germain. Last time, we scratched the surface of his incredible story, but the rabbit hole goes much deeper. Was he just a brilliant con man? Or was he something more? Let's explore some of the wildest theories surrounding this man who seemed to defy time itself. First, let's talk about the big one, the immortality theory. This isn't just a modern fantasy. People in his own time were convinced he'd discovered the elixir of life. The composer Rameau and the Countess Dodehema both claimed to have met him decades apart, looking exactly the same age. He would casually mention conversations with historical figures like King Richard the Lionheart. As if he were there, he never seemed to eat in public, claiming his diet consisted of a special oatmeal and the secret to his longevity. When asked about his age, he would just smile and change the subject. Could a man really live for centuries, or was he just an expert at weaving a convincing tale? The sheer number of first-hand accounts from credible sources makes you wonder. Then there's the theory that he was a time traveler. This idea might sound like science fiction, but consider the evidence. The Count possessed an uncanny knowledge of future events. He famously warned King Louis XV and Madame de Pompadour about the coming French Revolution, predicting the downfall of the monarchy with chilling accuracy. He seemed to know things no one could possibly know. He was a master of chemistry and alchemy, rumored to be able to remove flaws from diamonds and transmute metals. Were these just advanced scientific skills for his time? Or did he bring knowledge from another era? His sudden appearances and disappearances across Europe, seemingly at will, only add fuel to this fire. He was everywhere, yet belonged nowhere. Another fascinating theory paints him as an ascended master, a spiritually enlightened being sent to guide humanity. This idea comes from the Theosophical movement, founded by Madame Blavatsky. In the 19th century, Theosophists believe Saint Germain is a powerful spiritual guide who has watched over Western civilization for centuries, working behind the scenes to influence major historical events for the better. They see his political maneuvering, his attempts to broker peace, and his vast knowledge not as the tricks of a charlatan, but as the work of a benevolent, higher intelligence. According to this belief, he didn't die. He simply ascended to a higher plane of existence, continuing his work from beyond our perception. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? The idea that a wise guardian has been looking out for us all along. Let's not forget the more grounded, yet equally intriguing, possibility that he was the ultimate spy. Think about it. He spoke at least 12 languages fluently, moved effortlessly in the highest circles of power, from the French court to the Russian Empire, and was a master of disguise and information gathering. He was a trusted confidant to kings and queens, yet his true allegiances were always a mystery. Was he working for a secret society, like the Freemasons or the Rosicrucians, both of which he was allegedly a high-ranking member? Some historians believe he was a key player in a shadow network, using his charm and intellect to manipulate European politics from the inside. His life reads like the perfect spy novel, filled with intrigue, secret missions, and a protagonist whose true identity is never revealed. And what about his death? The official record states he died in 1784 in the castle of Prince Charles of Hesse-Kassel. But even this is shrouded in mystery. The records are murky, and no official grave has ever been definitively identified. And guess what? Sightings of the Count didn't stop. He was reportedly seen in Paris years after his supposed death. During the French Revolution, he was allegedly spotted by Napoleon's troops. Decades later, theosophists claimed to be in regular contact with him. It's as if he simply vanished from the historical record when he chose to, leaving behind a legacy that defies easy explanation. So, who was the Count of Saint Germain? Was he an immortal alchemist? A traveler from the future? A spiritual guide? Or the world's greatest spy? Perhaps he was a brilliant and charismatic man who understood the power of myth better than anyone. He created a persona so powerful that it has captivated us for nearly 300 years. He played his part so perfectly that we're still debating who he really was. The truth is, we may never know for sure, and maybe that's the most magical part of his story. The mystery itself is his final and greatest masterpiece. He is a puzzle without a solution, a question without an answer, forever living in the space between history and legend. What do you think? Which theory about the Count of Saint Germain do you find most compelling? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I love reading your ideas and theories on these topics. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into history's greatest mysteries.